Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for my reading. I did one of these back in November for the launch. However, YouTube streaming told me you can't do that at a specific period of time, and I didn't realize it. So, unfortunately, it was kind of a bust. Only like a few of you came, which, if you did, I am so utterly grateful. It was very, very intense. And I almost cried, but we got through. So hopefully today goes better. Hopefully I've learned a ton of lessons. Hopefully. Um, Today I'm going to be reading you 6 or 7 selections from my debut poetry collection. It debuted from Querencia Press, and my publisher actually did my cover, and she let me have so much input, and it's exactly what I wanted. At first, it didn't have the knives in the background, and I will explain the knives eventually. So, I will read, I will give context, and do giveaways of some books and maybe a rubber duck. I know the camera really can't see it, but it has my little book title logo thing on it. So, I hope everyone out there enjoys. I know some people aren't fans of poetry. And I hope I have my settings correct to capture this at the end and for typing to be visible. Let's hope. Okay. So, the first selection, and yes, I have my pages dog-eared. I don't like that, but I had to because I have a whole system on how to tag my book for reading, and it involves colorful paper clips, of which I misplaced. So, all right, our first poem is called Matriarchal Generations. We walk, the measured royal real carpet walk, and stroll as unfurled fabric muffles footsteps. Our mothers bake gooseberry pies with oleander crusts. They carry serving knives in both hands behind us, offering one little taste, a rebirth. Our fathers meander along 25 years later, losing interest far before the walk, stroll, unfurled, unrolled. Though we'd rather imagine our mothers made test pies for them because then it's just about us girls. Our scepters and crowns precede us. We learned the recipe from our mother's toxic sugar lips and use whetstones on our blades until the oven timer dings. Now, the impetus for this was, it's about what we transfer to our generations. There's a lot of talk about toxic masculinity, but we should also be talking about how that affects the feminine in what women do to each other. And I think it's a conversation when we talk about it that we don't often have. So it's about what we do to future generations and what mothers do thinking they're protecting their daughters and all that fun stuff. So I have to skip around in the book a little bit. I may seem disorganized, but like I said, I'm not quite used to doing all of this. The second poem I'm going to read to you is a poem that has stairs. So what I mean by that is, I can't tell if you're going to be able to see this, but the poem is indented, like over and over again, like a flight of stairs. And it is called Sacrament of Loss. Your heart, resting on a wooden staircase, is squished with splinters and all ventricles. Blood smears track the second it was lost, tumbled free like it was wrestled with the dryer's highest cycle. You are used to bleach, caustic, and holy. No hand wash, a sign of the cross on Sunday. Hole in your chest, a silent sermon. Now, if I can find the other poems, I will read them to you. Did I not have a second poem officially? Mayhap. You see, what happened was, I had this all figured out for a while. And then last minute I changed up everything. So this third poem is called Elegy for My Sanity. I wonder where you go when you aren't with me, clicking and plinking as rain from a slot machine. Do you even know, or do you slip between couch cushioned sewer grates and into darkness? Would you tell me if you knew? As an elephant strolls away with my skin and you play games. Did you send it? The message spelled out in loose buttons that rattle like my teeth? I watch them roll out of reach, buttons or teeth, I am not sure which. My fingered hands form a cage to catch you. I just want to talk to you about the striped, singing owl in my shower. I know it sounds like a funny poem, but there is a story behind it. When I was a young girl, well, all of 20, I met a man online who was from a different country. Where does not matter. We got to talking, and I thought we were friendly. And one day I started receiving these weird messages from names that were very similar to people I knew online. And I thought it was a troll. I just kind of brushed it off. And come to find out, this man who I thought was my friend wanted to be with me. And at the time, I had a boyfriend who is now my husband. And that did not sit well with him because he thought we were perfect together. Which of course we weren't, but that's not here nor there. People get to decide. And he was very good at hacking. And I would find pictures of like elaborate flower bouquets on my computer, and they would have like file names like our wedding flowers, and I'm like, oh, they just must have been samples that came with my laptop. You know how some laptops had like sample backgrounds and whatnot? That's exactly what I thought it was. But then I would get other things in my computer, videos and more messages, and one night the guy actually messaged my now husband and had told him that I was with him and that we were going to be together. And he would send me threatening messages about how women need discipline and I needed to act right, even though we were never romantic in any sense of the word at all. But the way he went about it, putting files into my computer, there were times when like the phone would ring at weird hours, and like he would know I'm online, so like he wouldn't be able to do it during dial-up, but like after dial-up I would have all these like messages the minute I got off. And it was very weird because I would pick up the phone and then I would hear him say just like you and hang up the phone. Like it was very bizarre. I felt not well mentally. I started crashing. I was very upset. I would be paranoid every time I would go into a chat room I used to visit because he just messed me up so much. He would start rumors about me. I actually didn't trust my own sanity for a while because when the files would be put into my computer, I still don't know how that's done. I still don't know how anybody does that. I never gave him remote access. But he had also deleted files from my computer. And I felt like I would go to show somebody something and it wouldn't be there. And I'd be like, oh my God, was this message even there? So I started feeling like I was legitimately having a psychotic break. And I didn't know if it was totally real or not until like the one night he messaged my now husband and started it. And I was like, oh my God, it was him. Just all along, everything was him. So it made me feel unwell and scared. So even though it's a lighthearted poem, it's about wondering like where he is and what he's doing and all the things he made me feel. So not the brightest, happiest story, but I didn't want to write like a straightforward like narrative on it because a lot of stuff still hasn't been talked about when it comes to cyberstalking. And it's just like, oh, just block them, ignore them, delete them, whatever. And it's like some people, it's not that easy. So my next poem actually has a swear word in it, and it's the F word. So if you are not comfortable, now would be your time to take a breather. But I feel like this is one of the most important poems in my collection because of what it says. So, the word is disabled. Yes, I am that cripple with calloused knees and swayed soft soles, with two focused eyes, the only one can be stared straight at a time. I am that gimp you give glares to like candy when you rhyme your card into me. My fault? For existing, I pay a higher tax than you. Stairs keep me out of businesses more than locks. I am that wheelchair, no name or gender, when you talk about the space I take that you could have. Any I take is too much. Anything I need is labeled opulence overlap. All decadence. That handicapped woman who dares to breathe, laugh, fuck on your watch? My life should be misery to you, until I die. Who else could make your life seem blessed? I am that leech you accuse of bankrupting your country, yours, like it isn't also mine, like I can love it, but it can't reciprocate, embrace my twisted limbs, pat the bed beside itself, and promise to care forever. I have met so many people that think the word disabled is a dirty word. And it's like, well, one, context matters, but disabled is the word. It's the right word. But when I say context, I mean, if one of my friends calls me cripple, it's like, yeah, I know where it comes from. But if a stranger calls me that, and there's disdain there, I know where it's coming from. And it's not a place of respect or joking or whatever. It's venomous. It's real. And there are reasons why I don't allow certain things, but allow others. Now me, I am very crip punk. I'm disabled all the way through. I can't not be seen as disabled. If you look at me for more than 1 second, even my eyes switching over bothers people. If I didn't have this shirt on, you could see my scar that's on my chest, my 4-inch scar. You can see a lot if you look with me. My feet are twisted in. My one foot, if you see me without shoes, is smaller than the other one. If you look at me for more than a few seconds, you'll know I'm disabled. I've been disabled from birth. I've never had a choice to hide my disability. And I've never been one to try. So, yeah, call me disabled. That's what I am. And I'm not ashamed of it. But I'll be damned if people out there don't try to make me be every once in a while. This next poem is called Taillights. You skitter, fluff like goose down a highway sown with paint. Cars see the uneven stitching, yellow and vulgar, lured in sunlight. Moonlight headlights cut like white straps near the shoulders. A country road spaghetti striped dress, necessary without air conditioning in humid heat. You can't go home again. Wheels faster than feet kick and crunch and ignore, like you wish you could. You would if things were different. Gasp as though one good kiss of oxygen might spare you from looking back. Rust flakes tremble off the truck. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. I've been investigating what it means to be home, have a home lately in my poems. And I do that a lot because home is almost like metamorphosis, but one that is never stagnant. You think you find home, and it's in a person. You find home, and it's in a place. You live in a place for 20 years, it never feels like home. You go back to your childhood home, and it feels like a foreign nest. And it fascinates me how we relate to what we call home, who we call home, where we feel safe. I have another poem called Questioning Home that is not in this book, but it could have been. But I feel like I'm investigating a lot of what it means to find your place in the world. Because just by me being as I am, it is a different kind of place where I exist. It is a different place in society. I'm often pushed to the fringes as a disabled person and as a fat person as well. There's a lot to be said there. And in a lot of different ways, I am what they call marginalized. I am white. I am cis, which means not trans. But in a lot of other ways, like poor, female, etc., 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 there is a lot of marginalizations. And I think my work as I get older deals a lot with the personal concepts of that. And even though I might tell it slant, this is a very, very personal book for me. So the last selection I'm going to read for you before the Q&A, which I don't know if any of you have questions, is called Architect of the Throne. And this poem, above all others, would be dedicated to the man that has stood by me in everything, in every which way. My husband is my lover, my caregiver, my family. He is my home. It is called Architect of the Throne. You built an empire, cradled it in your arms, scaffolding sticking out from the blanket until unveiling erect structures near the heart. Highways lead back to warehouses where we stored our bread, stale from open air. Your lungs tired from billowing smoke. I sat, reclined, listening to your story come to life in the harbor of your chest. And I, with such exquisite fingers, chased birds around your crown, grazing the tallest skyscrapers, until your sighs heralded the dawn. What does it mean to build a life? What does it mean to build love? And he is my everything. So, as the book is dedicated to him, so is that poem, even though I don't say it. I write a lot about love and loss and family, and I have a whole, section, though it's not official, of cancer poems in this book, as I am, at 39, a 2-time cancer survivor. As a matter of fact, next month will be the scan to determine if I can go from remission to cancer-free. I hope so. I don't think anybody who hasn't been through it quite knows the anxiety and impact that kind of thing can have on you, even if you're 5 years out. It still feels like it was yesterday in a lot of ways for me. So this is where I would take questions, but since I don't have an audience, I wanted to talk a little bit about the knives. I brought up the knives in the beginning, and I'm bringing up the knives now. Why, on this lovely picture with flowers and a dress form and stuff like that, are there knives? Is it just to, make it different so it doesn't look like, as one of my friends put it, without the knives, it looked like 1940s housewife poetry, even though it's not. So why in the free world would I decide to put knives in the background? Well, there is a theory called spoon theory, and most of us who are in the disabled community know it. But then there's something that actually came up out of the tabletop RPG community, like Dungeons and Dragons, that's called knife theory. And what knife theory has to do with your character's past, or things that can be used to harm them, or things that could be used to impact their life or the scenario you're going through. So losing a parent is a knife. A disability is a knife. A secret that haunts you from your past is a knife. A crime you committed that someone can hold over you is a knife. Like a debt you have to repay is a knife. And a fair amount of what's in this book could be considered knives. I have a poem about an absentee father. I have poems about the loss of my mother. I don't have a poem about the loss of my brother in this book because I'm still trying to write a way where I feel it does justice to the loss and who he was, and I don't think I'll ever get that, to be honest. But a lot of these are knives. My cancer diagnosis, my disability, the ableism I face because of my disability. Just so many knives. And I thought it would be appropriate. So it's not about edginess or being an edgelord, as they call it. It's literally about the things of me and my past, and some of them are soft, but some of them are sharp. Some of them are knives. So I thought it would be appropriate. Okay, so that just about wraps up my event for today. I want to thank you for watching. Before we leave, if you would like to win a copy of my book, maybe one of my cute rubber ducks or some stickers, please leave a comment below. I will end the giveaway probably a month from now, so that's like the 25th of March. So let's say, which is fortuitous or interesting because a month from now is also when I get my scan results. So that day, if you want to win a copy, I'll sign it if you want, just let me know. And or a duck or some stickers. My stickers are literally just my book cover. I didn't want to do traditional like swag, so let me know. Put an emoji down if that's what you want to do. Because I know some people don't want to leave long comments, which is fine. I totally understand that. So open for a month, book, ducks, stickers. It will be open internationally, so if you really want one, now is the time, now is your chance. And I want to thank you so very much for watching. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to be doing another in-person event at a library nearby, probably in April, or I'm going to at least go to it. I'm not entirely sold because while I did have fun in January doing my first in-person event, it's also very nerve-wracking for me to do this kind of thing, as you can probably tell. Even though I'm a natural-born speaker, I'm not a natural-born public speaker. Those two things are quite different. So, thank you so much. Also, comment to let me know if you want to see me talk about my publishing journey to getting this book in print, if you want me to talk about certain types of poetry, poetic influences, anything about writing, basically. Even if it's not in the poetic genre, I do also write flash fiction and horror and whatnot. So if you want to talk about like horror poetry and like how to write a more effective like fantasy poem or something, we can totally do lives like this, or on Twitch if that's where you're more comfortable. Just let me know. I'll prepare slides. It'll be a whole thing. It'll be like working from home again during the pandemic. So just let me know. And I appreciate you so much. You can watch this replay by going to the Lives tab, and I will see you next time.